I'm here with Sam Wines. We're in Melbourne, Australia, and we've just had, you can see from a tram, we've just had a really fantastic discussion around Sam's experience in the modeling industry, but also just Sam's thinking, Sam's philosophy on life. Also very existential, very grounded guy, and sometimes, right? Like, he finds time for himself. But I want him to share some of the stuff we've been talking about, because I think it's really fantastic, and I think a lot of people are going to get value out of it. So, Sam, do you want to tell everybody what you do and a little bit about your journey?
Absolutely. So I'm a Melbourne-based model, and I also create content on social media. On top of that, I have a content marketing agency as well. So yeah, even though that's sort of where I'm in, like, I actually studied science at uni and commerce at uni, so it's kind of a strange position to be in, I guess, from where I envisioned myself a few years ago, but hey, I'm making the most of it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Sam, do you want to, let's talk about a little bit about what we're talking about in terms of happiness, right? Because I think people are going to really, really appreciate just the depth of your thinking, right? And that's not to say anything else other than you're a great thinker. There's no connotations of anything else. It's just the way you think about in terms of what defines happiness, especially in a time of materialism, in a time of, I guess, like, everybody chasing abundance. And we were talking about minimalism before, right?
Yeah.
So do you want to unpack that a little bit?
Absolutely. So the thing with happiness, I think it's a funny thing in the way it's packaged today and in society today, and I think that people sort of miss the point that what truly makes you happy. I mean, we're sort of sold this belief of what we're told is to be what makes us happy. Be it buy this, do this, drink that, experience that. Like, we're sort of sold this thing that you need to buy happiness from something, rather than sort of realizing that happiness comes from within, and that happiness from within, that's also dependent on other external things still, like having a good network of people and friends who are around you, and like your social network, not like Instagram or Facebook, but your genuine relationships that you have with individuals, that can really dictate your happiness. Like, I mean, we're social creatures. We were designed to be in these packs of 150 or whatever it is individuals. Highly intertwined social networks. You'd be interacting 6 hours or so a day, and we don't, as I said earlier on, we don't really interact anywhere near like that anymore. Maybe most people get, as I said, 40 minutes or so a day, compared to like the 6 hours that research has shown that we should truly be doing. So I think that there's so much to talk about, right?
Man, like, there's not, like, honestly though,
not enough time.
We've been talking for 2 hours now, literally probably just about that topic.
Yeah,
right? Like,
literally.
just about happiness. So, okay, so touching on the idea of, like, we're evolutionary wired to look for meaningful relationships. Like, that's genuinely what makes us happy. Like, take away the glitz, the glamour, whether it is short-term instant gratification, whether it is actual materials, anything like that, right? How do you go about keeping that in your life, or developing that?
It's hard. It's not an easy thing to do. You have to be something which is not really taught in this day and age. You have to be mindful. And being mindful of that sort of stuff, and noticing what takes you away from it, or what steers you away from feeling that way. And it's such a hard thing to do, to pick on this and realize, when you're subconsciously doing something else rather than something you should be doing, or
hardwired, and like,
absolutely,
we're conditioned to, like, it's our limbic system, right? Like, the reptile brain. That's the oldest part, and we don't even know, like, we're doing it. And it's just like checking ourselves, right?
100%. Or as I said, as we were talking about earlier, I mean, your prefrontal cortex, which does all of, like, our hardcore thinking, which is what kind of separates us from, I mean, even though we are animals, it separates us from the rest of the animal kingdom, in that we have the cognitive capacity to think about ourselves and think about our thoughts and reflect on who we are and what we've done, but that doesn't mean that it's always in control. Where we've got this duality of, like, this underlying feeling, sort of experiential self, which is pleasure seeking, and which is always going to want to chase these things. And I guess like those within the capitalist society, which I mean, of course, we're all a part of. They and I unfortunately do partake in that. But hey, you don't really have much of a choice.
Yeah.
At least you can be aware of it. They know this. They know this deep human desire to want to chase pleasure and all this sort of stuff, and they utilize that through marketing and then make you feel like you need to buy this and chase that and do all these sort of things rather than look introspectively and find that happiness within and within the relationships of those around you.
Yeah, as I think a really telling word Sam just said, which kind of sums him up, right? He's super introspective, and that's what I've loved chatting to him about. So let's go down that rabbit hole, right?
Bring it on.
And if we could wind back the clock to when you first started your journey, whether it's in this industry, whether it's in the career that you're in right now, right? What would you tell yourself based on everything you've learned, based on everything you've reflected on, based on everything I guess you've kind of realized about yourself? Like, what lessons would you tell yourself, assuming your old self would listen, right?
Think critically.
Yeah.
Think for yourself. Don't follow the crowd. Whatever you do, you need to be, embrace everything, but think skeptically at the same time. Like, really try and understand what the core of things are or what motivates certain things. And I mean, there's so much you'd want to tell yourself, but I guess at the end of the day, like, what it really boils down to is that it's pretty much just think. Like, actually use your brain. Think for yourself. Don't follow trends or follow this, follow that. Don't do any of that. Like, look introspectively and break apart things and try and see how they work. I think that's to me, that's so important. I think that it's kind of like we're not taught to think.
Yeah, that's actually true, right? Like, that's what we should all be doing, but we don't actually get taught like a framework to think. We don't like. Yeah, it doesn't always come naturally to us as much as we think it is.
No, well, it's hardly anyone's fault either, though, right? It's, you go to school, you're told, you're told 1 + 1 = 2. You're told, that
very linear things.
Yeah, you're told all these linear things, and you're taught how. You're taught not how to think, but what to think, right? You're not taught how to laterally think and how to see things objectively as a whole. Like, it's purely, this is what you need to do to get this mark on this, to prove that you're good enough for this, to prove that you can get into this degree, to then prove that you can work in this job.
So rigid.
Right, yeah, exactly. And I think, I mean, it's easy for anyone to say that, the education system needs reform or whatever else it is, but, it's not easy to tell people to think or how to think. And a lot of the time people might not want to or might not be ready to. Yeah, I don't know, it's pretty full on.
Man, as you guys can see, there is literally not enough time for us to unpack what we want to talk about, right?
Yeah.
But if anybody does want to check out more of you, whether it is your modeling, but any of your thinking, any of your your blog, anything like that, where should they go?
That's a tough one. At the moment,
no one ever answers that. Oh, that's a tough one.
At the moment, I'm currently working on producing a platform where I can put out these thoughts, feelings, and emotions, talk to other people who are like-minded, and all that sort of stuff. So I'm in the process of building something, but yeah, I mean,
so we'll make sure we link Sam's new stuff when it comes out.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So where can they see you now? And then I'll make sure when your new stuff comes out, they'll be able to check it out as well.
Unfortunately, you're not going to see much of this on Instagram, but that's predominantly where I am.
Just slip into Sam's DMs, asking him some questions, right?
Might as well just ask me anything. I'm happy to talk. I'm happy to talk if it's going to be intellectually stimulating.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or helping anyone out. More than happy to talk.
Cool. What's your Instagram, Sam?
All right. I hate plugging myself. It's like Sam Wines, think red wine, WINES, and then an underscore. That's pretty much it. Like, I hope you've enjoyed listening to us, and thanks so much for having us on, man.
Awesome, Sam. Thanks so much for it. All right, we'll have you on again soon.
Oh, sounds great.
Thanks, guys.